Is Harv's Air's Pilottraining.ca the best ground school in Canada? Or maybe even the best ground school in the world? Let's talk about it. Hello my friends, welcome back to Late Departure. I'm Adam, and as some of you know, this is my continuing journey to become a commercial airline pilot. And this week I have been getting so many questions from a lot of you about ground school. So many people have finished their private pilot's license, their actual flying portion of the test, but they haven't finished their written test. And then there are other people in other countries who are asking what the best way to do to prepare for coming to Canada would be. And as those of you who saw the video last week, and if you haven't, here's the link right up somewhere around here. You heard some of the students say that one of the best ways you can prepare is to do your pilot study before you come to Canada, and then you'll be all ready to do that. And really, what is the best way to do that? Well, today I want to talk a bit about Pilottraining.ca. It is the online ground school course made by Harv's Air, which is the school that I'm training at. But I want to be really clear, no one is paying me to do this. This isn't, I'm doing a legitimate review here of the program and how it worked for me. And even though it might sound really good, please take it with a grain of salt as always. But at the same time, consider that I did use this program and I did come out of it with 98% on my private pilot's license exam, and that was with one silly mistake as well. So it could have easily been 100%. I'm still bitter about that, to be honest. But in any case, this program, I compared ground schools, and I also did a ground school comparison where I talked about Hangar, which is another online ground school that you could possibly use, and I talked about that with some other student, a private pilot license student, a while back. So again, if you haven't seen that video, I'll either post it somewhere around here or it'll be in the description down below and you can check that out. In that video, there's also information about how you use Pilottraining.ca and Hangar and stuff. So I'm not going to go into great detail in this video talking about how you actually use the program, but more or less I just want to talk about what I really liked about it. But at the same time, I'll also bring up a point or two that some people have mentioned that maybe is a reason why you might not want to use Pilottraining.ca. So, we'll just look at some various different points here, and without further ado, let's just jump right into it here. So as you can see on the screen here, this is the home screen. I've showed this before in a previous video. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I just want to touch on a few major points here. So the top 5 things that I want to say are the reasons that I really enjoyed Pilottraining.ca and why I think it might be one of the best private pilot, commercial pilot ground school programs in Canada is because of the amazing detail of the slides. So you just go into any of the slides here. Just going down to the airframes, engines, systems, and choose really any of the presentations here. And the options that you get for what you can do with it are amazing. And I really love the fact that, so I was downloading the MP3s to listen when I went on bike rides. I would listen to the MP3 and then I would come back and I'd watch the video. For the MP3s, it's super easy. You just click on it and you can see it downloads just down below here. Very easy, and then you have it for whenever you need it. The videos, you just click on the video, it loads up the video here, and I've just zoomed in on the video here. You can see that it plays very easily. One of the nice things I really like about the video option is that in addition to having subtitles on most of the videos, and not all of them, so if you go into it, you can see that you can see that there are subtitles. Some of them they look like they're custom made, but a lot of them seem to be automatically created, which is a little unfortunate because sometimes, in this case, you have the right transcripts here, but sometimes the transcripts aren't perfect, and that can be really difficult. I'd imagine, especially for international students or someone who doesn't have English as their first language. And so that's something that maybe in the future Pilottraining.ca you might want to look into to get those maybe I don't know what they might do, but perhaps there's a company that goes and double checks the subtitles, or someone who does a better job with the automatic subtitle creation or something like that. But you can see in this one it's okay, but a very valuable feature, of course, for anyone who, even for me, I actually like having subtitles on all the time, even though English is my first language. And it's just nice to have that sort of extra information there as I'm taking notes. But of course, one of the things that most people talk about, some people say that Aaron talks a little slowly. I think his speed is perfect, for, again, talking about someone who might not be from Canada, or someone who might not have English as their first language, or even someone who just, again, likes to take their time. If you go into the options here and click on speed and go to one-time speed,
there's the pure monocoque and then the semi-monocoque.
The pure monocoque and the semi-monocoque. It's I think it's a perfect speed, and I used to teach English and I taught languages, and this is actually a perfect speed for speaking. He speaks very clearly and very concisely and at a really nice pace. Now, this is, for me, really good, but even for me personally, I watched every single video when I did my private pilot's license. And when I did that, there are some times where I just wanted to kick it up a notch, and that's where this feature is really great. And I know most people do this. And this is, again, something that people were, I don't want to say they're complaining about it, but something that people mentioned. They said, oh, the video is too slow. Thank goodness there's a 2x speed option. And yes, there is. And I think that's amazing that you can go on here, 2x speed, and then you can hear.
So maybe you actually have to remember 4 types of airframes for the exam, but just remember monocoque.
And that's kind of cool. You get Aaron sort of speaking like he's a squirrel at some point there, and just doing that really fast. But again, for the most part, a lot of these videos are an hour and a half, 2 hours long. So being able to cut it down to an hour is a really amazing feature. But again, just having all these resources, and also for some people, and I've met probably at least 10 or 11 people who just go into the slides like this, and they just go through and they memorize the information, or they take notes or something like that. And that's also a very valid way of doing it. So now when I go back and I'm doing my CPL on Pilottraining.ca, it's something that I do sometimes because I've watched the videos and some of the information is overlapped. So I just go back to the slides and review it, and then I do the quiz, and that works out perfectly for me. So that's another great option. So yeah, just having this choice of all this different media, the audio, the video, and the slides, has made this really great experience for me. And that's one of the reasons why I really like the program. So the next up, number 4, is the customer service and how prompt and friendly it is. And I was really, really impressed by this. Really, all you have to do is this. At the top of the screen, you just click on support and then click on ask ground school a question. It opens up this window, and basically you submit I guess a question. It can be a question about the ground school thing. If you found some problems with the course, because once in a while, there are some missing links or some things like that. And I know they're constantly fixing those. So if you send them an email or send them a question here saying, oh, this one is broken or something like that, they fix it right away. And have to understand that they're constantly updating this program. This is one of the other things that I really like about it, but this didn't make it into the top 5 things I like about Pilottraining.ca, is the fact that they're always updating the program. There are always new slides, there are new videos, new resources, or they're taking older resources and they're updating them because Transport Canada has changed some policies or something like that. So it's really great in that regard, but I just want to show you here. So I send in a question, probably if I'm studying all day, I'll send in maybe 10 questions, and I feel really sorry for the poor people at Pilottraining.ca who have to deal with all my questions there, but they're extremely prompt. And let me just show you an example of this. So this is an email here, and you can see here that I sent in this email about a clarification on a question about the RPMs of a constant speed propeller here, and I sent it at 8:30 p.m. on Tuesday, and on Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. I got a response. So they have some people here, this Mr. David Lewicki II. I love that name. He reminds me of this guy from an old TV show called MASH, like, my name is Charles Winchester III or something. So this is David Lewicki II. In any case, in just 2 hours, and this is like when you look at this, it's like a 24-hour a day teacher from ground school being around for you, and this is amazing. This is like, you're not going to get this anywhere else. You go into a ground school class, you're going to have that teacher for those 2 hours, right? And then once you go home, you're not going to be able to ask that teacher questions any longer. Well, in Pilottraining.ca, not only can you do this course at your leisure whenever you want, but you also have an instructor who is going to be answering your questions, maybe not 24 hours a day, but quite often. I think the latest response time I got was maybe one day. And even then, that's fine. I don't mind getting it the next day. I'm asking custom questions. And I'm one of who knows how many hundreds or thousands of people are currently taking this program, and they're fielding all these questions. So they're definitely on top of things. And considering the fact that like the price of this is so competitive compared to actual in-class ground school, the amount of service you get is amazing. It's very superior. And so I was very impressed with that. And that definitely made my top 5 list of things that I like about Pilottraining.ca. So we're back on the main program here, and now we're on number 3. And number 3 is that the quizzes and like the bank of questions in the quizzes and also in the flashcards that are available, which is another media I haven't talked about yet, are actual Transport Canada questions that you'll find on the exam. And I was pleasantly surprised to find out that all of these questions that I've been practicing with, and a lot of people have been asking me, oh, please share your flashcards and stuff. I've just been making flashcards based on the quizzes that they have here and the flashcards that they have here. So it's not like I have something special here. It's something you can do as well if you want to write down your own flashcards on pen and paper, or using something like Anki, which is an amazing program, by the way. If you use that, I highly recommend it. Helps you review stuff every single day. But just taking a look on something like the Principles of Flight quiz or the Forces Acting on Aircraft quiz, you go into here and you click on, you can see I do the quizzes multiple times, and often, I don't do it right the first time, so I have to go back and fix it again. But just going into one of these quizzes here, all of these questions that you have, all of these are pretty much like Transport Canada level questions that you'll find on the exam. And like I said, it is sometimes word for word, the questions that you have. Sometimes the wording is slightly changed, but it's almost the same question. So really that made it very helpful for me, because when I was going back after I finished all of the learning and I went back to review all of the questions and all of that stuff, it was super valuable for me to be able to do the test and be like, oh, I know this question, I did this question, I know this question. And it just made it super easy and effective to do the test. And I was really happy about that. So if you want to be able to actually practice the real questions for the real exam, this is where you want to be. And I'm not sure, maybe some of the other online ground school courses like Hangar also have this. I'm not sure exactly to what extent, but I know, again, that I went through all the videos, all the quizzes, and I found that there was so much of the same on both. And I like that, because, when you're preparing for a real test, you want the real questions, right? All right, so number 2 on the list here is one that has a little bit of contention with people that I've talked with. And it's the fact that Pilottraining.ca is so detailed, a lot of detail, all of the slides, all the things they talk about. Aaron in the videos goes into so much detail. And as you can see here, not only do they have the basic topics on things like meteorology, but there's also extra stuff. Like if you look at this, they have a bonus video just on thunderstorms here. Check this out. This is just a bonus video that you're not going to get anywhere else. This is just Aaron doing what he does best.
And we'll actually take a look at that.
And
eventually we're here.
Look at this. He actually goes through and he shows how a thunderstorm forms. And there's amazing footage they took in Manitoba of thunderstorms and all this kind of stuff. And this is amazing. This is such great content. And he goes through step by step and explains this. This is something, like one of the big comparisons I got with Hangar is Hangar doesn't have a person there. It's just like a voice and slides or something like that. But in this, you have these real life examples, and they went out of their way to collect this extra media. Now that being said, it is extra, and there's a lot of extra. So if I go back here, one good example would be like the moisture section. So if I can find the moisture section here, so going up to moisture, the presentation, and just going through this, you can just see the amazing pictures and stuff that they use for all of this. But some of the stuff here is like private pilot's license level content, but if I scroll down here a ways, there's a lot of slides here, as you can see. This is what goes into those big presentations. So there's stuff like this here where they add some of the CPL knowledge, and even stuff that is CPL knowledge, sometimes they don't exactly list that. And I love this because when I did my private pilot's license, there's a few reasons for this. Number one is, flying is a life or death thing. You want to know as much as you can so that you can save your own life, so that you can be safe. You don't want to die. You want to know everything that you can. That's my opinion. Now, that being said, I've met a lot of people who just want to skip through, people who just went, like, got Pilottraining.ca, they looked at the slides, they did the quizzes, they finished in maybe a few days to a week, the entire program. They just went through the whole thing like that. I took months to go through it, and I was going at it like every day for like 15, 16 hours a day. And I like the fact that I had access to all this knowledge. The people who didn't were the other people, like the other people who were just skimming through it. They didn't like it because there's too much information. And so this is something to consider. If you're someone who, I don't want to say doesn't care about their life, but someone who doesn't want to know everything, like they just want to get the quickest path through, maybe they just want their recreational pilot's license or private pilot's license, or maybe they want to do what I'm doing and become an airline pilot, but they don't want to learn all of the information, I guess, because, like it is possible to just barely scrape by and get 60% on your exam or 60.5% or something like that and just barely pass. I don't personally like that, but that is one of the complaints, and I just want to put it out there that there is a lot of extra info. And if you're not into that or you don't like that, then perhaps this program is not for you. But on the other hand, if you don't want to die, or if you are like me and you just love flying and you love to know all of these extra details, all these extra things, you want to see Aaron doing his thunderstorm presentations and things like that, in that case, then it is definitely worth it to get that extra information, and that's why it's number 2 for me on the reasons why this is one of the best ground school programs, because I'm pretty sure nowhere else are you going to find this level of detail and information in this kind of course. So definitely something to check out. And finally, on to number 1, the reason why I think that Pilottraining.ca is one of the best ground school options for online ground school in Canada, maybe even the world, who knows, is really this guy right here, Aaron. I've met him in person. He's an amazing guy, super friendly, super down to earth, and he just loves flying. He loves everything about flying, and he's the exact kind of person you'd want to learn from when you're learning about flying. You want to learn from someone who has so much passion and so much love for the art and the craft that is flying. And really, as you go through these presentations and you just see him, he approaches it with a level of gentleness, but also professionalism and knowledge and enthusiasm that just makes it so much fun to learn and so much fun to follow along with him. And every single moment, he'll be talking about something, and he'll be talking about like the surface level of some kind of aviation knowledge, and then he'll be like, oh, to the whiteboard, and he'd go off to the whiteboard and he'd explain whatever it is in more depth. And I'd find myself so many times I'd be watching one of these programs and I am getting lost. I'm thinking, oh man, this is tough. I don't understand what he's talking about this like angle of attack or something like that. And just at the moment where I'm starting to get lost, all of a sudden Aaron says, to the whiteboard, and then he does this big in-depth description of this extra stuff. And like, for example, in this presentation here, if I just scroll on the bottom here, I can kind of just see like this. He'll be talking about some kind of factors of this thing is a flight near a thunderstorm, something happening here, and then he goes over to the whiteboard.
Let's imagine,
and you can see him. He starts drawing up all this extra information, maybe with him down here on the bottom right side, and it's always super valuable. It's always something that is in greater depth and greater detail, and he tries to bring it to a level where anyone can understand it. And this has been almost every single time I couldn't understand something, this has been my savior. This has been what has helped me actually understand it. And so this is really the things that Aaron brings to the table for these lessons is just unbelievable. It's amazing. And I've really enjoyed the course because of him. I really look forward to, I hope in one day that I might be able to learn from him directly. I don't know, like when I do my, if I do a flight instructor rating or something like that, because he does that kind of stuff at Harv's Air, and that would be very, very cool. But, you know, him, along with everyone else, of course, at Harv's Air have been really friendly, but I'm diverging from the point. The point is, Aaron is amazing, probably one of the best ground school teachers in the world, just super fantastic. And I love the fact that, you know, there are all these extra effects in, you know, at the very beginning here. If you just watch through the beginning, he has some special things that he does. He makes jokes all the time. There's things like this.
Guess what? Today on Pilottraining.ca, we happen to... Did anybody hear that? Yeah, that sounded like a little bit of a rumble. Didn't? That was awful.
Good job, Aaron.
Well done! There's just so much of this today. Okay.
So I actually have, I actually took down timestamps of various videos. I think I have probably like maybe 30, 40 little points from various videos where Aaron is making jokes or doing crazy stuff like this. It's just so much fun. And I know it's corny and it's silly, but it just lightens the mood. You're sitting down, you're in this hardcore study, and again, in this life or death domain of flight training, and just having these extra things here just makes it so much more fun and enjoyable. And I honestly really enjoyed these little moments with Aaron and the little jokes, and he'd come up with like all these famous aviation jokes all the time as he's going through these lessons, and it just makes it really fun. And honestly, you know, by the time you've spent over 100 hours with Aaron here going through all the videos, you get a rapport with him, and you just feel like, you know, he just makes you feel at ease with a lot of the content and stuff like that that's going on. So that is the number one reason why I think Pilottraining.ca is absolutely amazing. So that's it for this video. I know it was a little bit long, and I hope that, you know, well, I said it is very good. It's some amazing content, and there's some really cool stuff in this. There are a few pluses and minuses, just things to consider, and there are things that, you know, it depends on the person, depends on what kind of stuff you like to study or how you like to approach your ground school. But in terms of getting the best bang for your buck, the best value for your money, I can't think of any better way really than doing it with Pilottraining.ca. You know, again, the contents are great, the customer service is great, all of that stuff has been really good, and it's really hard to come up with any negatives about the program. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I'm enjoying it again, doing my CPL now in Pilottraining.ca, and the good thing is, because the private pilot's license part was so detailed, I'm having a really easy time going through the CPL, the commercial pilot's license program. And if you're planning to become a commercial airline pilot, or you're planning to do this for a career, to have that great strong foundation built up in the private pilot's license course before you move on to future things like your CPL or ATPL or something like that is absolutely amazing. It's going to help you a lot. It's going to help you, you know, become a better pilot overall, and also teach you to enjoy a lot of these things and have fun with a lot of these topics, which I think is super important to both memorization and also just to learning in general. So that being said, if you have any questions, contact them about it. Go to Pilottraining.ca, give them a shout. You know, they do have really good customer service there, and you're welcome to comment in the comments below if you have any other questions for me about it and my experiences. And that's about it. So I hope if you guys are out flying, you're having fun, flying your best, flying safely, hopefully with all the information you learned from Pilottraining.ca. And I hope you're all having an absolutely amazing day. And thank you for joining me once again on my late departure journey here as an older student. Hopefully everyone else out there who is an older student can also appreciate this, how this program helps someone even who's old like me learn a little bit more about flying. And that being said, remember, it's never too late. See you next time.